Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and it is Saturday morning. It is a little early, but it is time for a sales logic. I am hanging out here with my partner, Mark Hunter. How you doing this morning, Mark?
I'm doing great, and it's a busy day. So why don't we roll a video and kind of get going with the show?
Get going. You hanging out in Dallas today? You at home?
I am in Dallas today. Last week I missed it. I was on the West Coast, and I failed to realize the time.
Well,
So
that was my fault. I changed it, but you have been traveling like crazy. All right, I'm going to hit the
keep it
video.
up with you.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
This is Sales Logic. Again, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to sell effectively in today's marketplace. So, Mark, before you tell us what is on deck for today, I'm going to tell our folks how the show works. Every week we come to you with a 25-minute show. I'm going to cut it a little early this morning. I got a golf tournament to go play in. But we got a hot topic for you. We start off the show with a great question from our audience. We recommend a book, and we wrap it up with a lightning round. So, Mark, what is on deck for today?
Well, the topic today is how, why, and the value of getting prepared for a sales call. Think about this. How much work, what should we do to get ready for the sales call? But first, let's get the question. Question comes from Martin in Munich. So I feel the sales process flowing and becoming more complex here in Germany and with our global clients, as the world economy is showing signs of slowing down. As a sales leader, I need to focus more on ensuring my team is productive, not just busy. How can I increase their efficiencies and effectiveness with sales calls? Spoken like a true German. I love it.
Yeah, that's true, right? Precise, exact, not wanting to waste a minute of time. I think the most important thing that Martin has said there, and I think it's a really good point for leaders, is how do you get the team productive, not busy? And that really does speak to the importance of preparing for the sales call. So I really think the first thing that you need to look at is probably go back and look and try to figure out, are people focused in the right direction?
Well, that is so true. And it really comes down to a very simple thing. What are you measuring and what are you getting ready for? If you're not getting ready for really, what is the call to action? What is it that you're attempting to learn? What is your objective? Then why are you doing the sales call?
Yeah, exactly. And are you focused on the right people? I mean, I think one of the biggest places that salespeople waste time is that they focus on calling on the wrong people. I think I got a smoke alarm going on
Well,
behind
I
me.
thought we had it here, so I have no idea. But you know what? I'm not the least bit concerned. So
I'm not
it's okay.
either.
It's
So,
okay.
yeah.
Hey, here's something you have to think about. Let's talk about this whole people thing. Just because somebody will take your meeting doesn't mean you should have the meeting with them. Stop and think about
Oh,
that for a moment.
that was big.
Just because you can have them doesn't mean you should. There's a lot of people that will take your call, will take your meeting, but it doesn't mean they're worthy of your time.
Yeah, I mean, especially in today's marketplace, it's going to take a lot more to close a sale. I mean, one thing that Martin said that's really true is that sales cycles are becoming more complex. And as the marketplace shifts and changes, it's not that people don't want to buy, they're going to buy. And in fact, I think you spend more money in an uncertain environment, but you're more selective about who you spend it with and where you spend it. So salespeople have to be better at detecting, is this person going to buy? Is it going to be a long-term relationship? Is it going to be, can I really add value to this relationship? We always, I think I'm driving this guy crazy. I'm going to go hit the alarm. Mark, you carry it.
Okay. Hey, here's something we need to take a look at. We need to stop and ask ourselves several questions. One, what is it that we want to get out of the call? In other words, what's the objective? Just to have a meeting doesn't cut it. Two, what is going to be the next step and how we're going to get the call to action to get them to do it. If we can't address those three things, here's the whole situation. I see too many sales managers, and Martin, I feel like you're spot on with this, because what you're concerned with is you're concerned with people saying, well, I had 6 meetings today, or I had 5 meetings this week, or whatever it is. It's not the number of meetings, it's the quality of meetings. Now, I understand that sales is an activity-based function. You got to go through the activities to get it done. But here's what it comes down to. Are you measuring the right activities? Too many times what happens, people are not measuring the right activities. Just because it's easy, just because I can measure the number of sales calls, doesn't mean it. What I'm going to suggest, Martin, is you create a scorecard as to the quality of the meeting. That's what you're looking at. What is the quality? Did they uncover a new piece of information about the customer? Did they uncover something of relevant importance? And is there a next step that was addressed? Well, our alarm is back. I have no idea what is going on, but
Well, Rob's going to shut it off. The problem was he couldn't walk past the video in order to do it. So, Derek, we'll have that taken care of in just a second. But I did shut a door, which should tone it down just a little bit. So, Mark, what were you focused on? Where were you picking up, and what do we need to dive into?
well, it's not about the activity; it's the quality of the activity. Sales is activity. You and I both know. You got to make the number of callers. You got to have the number of meetings, but are they quality meetings? So what is it that you're learning from the meeting? The meeting doesn't count unless you're uncovering some information of insight that's going to help you move forward, and you've gained a next step. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
Yeah, I also think that one of the things that I think is so important about preparing for a sales call is really preparing, but not over preparing. I mean, I'm old enough, and Mark, you probably remember this too, when we used to pre-call plan. And when we would do pre-call planning, we literally planned out the whole sales call. We planned the questions we were going to ask, we planned the way that they were going to answer, and we planned the products that we were going to sell. I think about that now, and it's ludicrous. I mean, that's just crazy. Like, you don't know what's going to happen until you get into the conversation. So that makes a lot of people just want to wing it. But you can't wing it. I mean, you need to, first of all, there's so much information that you should find out before you ever go on a call. Because, I always like to say that a sales call is a privilege. That business owner is giving you something that is so precious to them, and that's their time. And you better make sure you maximize it. So don't waste your time asking things that you should have already gotten the information from. At the same time, that's going to set you up to ask really good questions, but do not assume the answers to those questions.
That's so key. And you struck on something. You have to understand, what is the preparation that the customer has done coming into the call? Now, what do I mean by this? What's their knowledge base? Years ago, when you would literally prepare and script out every moment, it's because we literally own the process. The salesperson owned the process. The customer didn't know anything. Today, the customer knows potentially everything, and most likely more than we know. So what does that mean? That means it's a different set of questions. It's a different set of preparation. So we have to go into every sales call, not just with the idea of, hey, here's what I want to talk about, but here's what I need to be prepared to talk about, because the customer may take me down that path, or the customer may potentially try to take me down that path. I have to be far more prepared than ever.
Martin, I think one thing that you could do with your team, which I think would be incredibly valuable, would have them look back over the last 3 months, the last quarter, and divide activities into the pile of busy or productive. So often we pride ourselves on being incredibly busy as salespeople, but that's not the goal. And so you want to look back over your activities and say, what literally led to bottom line results? If it led to bottom line results, we need to keep doing it going forward, but getting a good indicator as to where your time was wasted. One of the biggest I see is that salespeople will go to a trade show or to a networking event or something like that. And number one, it may not even be the right fit. Like the decision makers aren't there, or you didn't work it like you needed to work it. But in essence, look back over those tasks and figure out what are we doing that's moving the needle, and what are we doing that's wasting time?
Well, see, that brings up a very interesting point, trade shows. And right now, trade shows are back in the news a little bit because, hey, they're back on. So should we go? Should we have a trade show? And I had this exact conversation with somebody the other day. They made the comment that they had participated in a trade show in Europe, happened to be in Germany, it was a US company, and they came back with a lot of leads. I don't care about leads.
Yeah.
Leads to me are really nothing more than names. I want to know how many meaningful conversations. And when I worked with them and sorted through the list, they really didn't have anybody that they could really say this was meaningful. And I said, please don't tell me that you signed up for the show again next year. Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah, of course. Brad, great point. With the internet and social, you can know an incredible amount of information prior to the first discovery meeting. Absolutely, Brad. You can know an incredible amount of information, not only about your customer, but you need to know an incredible amount of information about the industry. What are the challenges? What are the issues? They're looking to you. Mark made such a great point when we started here, and that is that the truth is I can buy the product without you. You are not selling products. You're solving products, providing solutions, and showing them how they can save money, make money, or increase their bottom line. And you have to understand the industry in order to be able to do that.
Yeah, and that means your preparation includes not just the industry, but the individual person. Of course, you and I both have a great friend, Sam Richter, who's created the Intel engine, which really is probably the most powerful tool out there. We should give a shout out. Just Google Sam Richter, Richter. You'll get taken to his Intel engine. Let me tell you something. You want to find out creepy information about people? You'll find it right there.
What I love about Sam Richter's Intel engine really going in cooperation with this conversation is you get on there and you can find the latest articles they've published, where their annual report is. You know, you can find out those little pieces of information that make sure that you go in and you're ready. You know, Gartner released a great statistic right after COVID. And for anybody who doesn't know Gartner, they're probably the leading research firm in the area of sales and business development. But they said prior to COVID, we had about 3 to 4 decision makers involved in the buying process. Post COVID, we're upwards of 12 people who have to weigh in and say, it's a good idea to buy your product. So Mark's point of you need to know the individual, absolutely. You need to know the decision makers at the table.
See, what is happening here is because of COVID, companies are making fewer decisions, but they're making bigger decisions.
Yeah.
In other words, I find this time and time again. You may have a company you may have a company or an individual that's interested in your product. They feel, oh yeah, this can help me. I know this can help me. But if there's not a level of urgency, they're not going to make the decision to buy. You see, there has to be the interest, the need, what's it going to solve, what's it going to do, and what's the urgency. Because the only problems they're going to go after right now are the ones that are urgent. So when we talk about the value of getting prepared, we have to understand, how do we find out what is their level of urgency, and how do we help them create that level of urgency, that this becomes one of the decisions that they're going to make.
Yeah, I love this question, Mark, because I think it segues us into the topic
Yes.
really well. The power of being prepared. Can you please help the ways and strategies of how to do that? How do you prepare? What are the steps?
Well, I tell you what I simply do is this. A, what is my knowledge of the industry? What is the current state of affairs? In other words, it's a very simple kind of a SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the industry. And then I have to look at the company I'm going to be calling on. What is their role in the industry? Are they an influencer or are they a reactor? And then I begin to drill down deeper into the individual person. Do I know the person? What do I know about the person? There's just a simple, really stepping stone process that I go through. And what does this do? It allows me to get the information. Now, here's the key thing though, as I prepare, it's the questions. It's the questions. I may not have answers to questions, and I hope I don't have answers to all the questions. But what I want to do is ask the questions to get the conversation going. That's what's absolutely key.
Yeah. Here's my process. Number one is before I ever make a call, I double check to make sure that the person I'm calling on fits my target market. Like, what are my criteria that this is a good use of my time and a good use of their time? Number two, I do the research. And we've had a LinkedIn user here say, what's the best way to find info about the industry and the person? We just said Sam Richter's Intel Engine. Email research Sam Richter, and you can find that, and do a lot of work just on. It's amazing what you can find out on a person's LinkedIn profile, what you can find out on their website. You can Google annual report, but read those things, and I'll make notes, things that I need to know and things that I need to mention about the company. So I'll state something that, I see that, you just came off a great year, but your annual report mentioned that you're looking for 2023 to be challenging. I'm assuming because of the trends in the industry, it's things like supply chain continuing to tighten, you're worried about inflation, but is there anything deeper than that? So once I've done my research on the people, once I've done my research on the company, now I'm starting to plan my questions. But my questions make sure that I'm positioning, that I show them I understand their industry and their business. So nobody is going to like this on this show today, but literally I lay out the call and I role play it. If I am going into a big sales presentation, I just had one Friday where they'd set it up with a meeting planner. I got on there, I did my research, I did my homework, I planned my questions, and then I role played it, just talking to myself, kind of rolling out, how am I going to open? How am I going to position myself as an expert in the field? What questions am I going to ask? Now, here's where the challenge comes in. You're asking questions. At this point, Mark said it, I don't know the answers. And I don't want to know the answers because I want to really, really listen. But I have thought about my close and my next steps.
Oh, so true. Now I'm gonna share a situation happened to be yesterday. I had a sales call with an investment banker, and I was set up for this call. I knew who I was talking to, but there was zero information about this individual. There was information about his investment banking firm. It's a boutique investment banking firm. They've made about 200 different placements, controlled tremendous amount of equity in companies, but there was zero information about him. So all I could do was get research on the company, the industry, and so forth. I went into it with questions, but of course I didn't know anything about him. All I knew was his name. What's very interesting was about 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the conversation, I said, it's kind of interesting. And I said the person's name, I won't say it here. I said, I try to do as much research as possible to find out what I could about you. And I couldn't find anything. And he laughed. He said, I like it that way.
Yeah.
Because as an investment banker, I get pitched all kinds of deals every day. I don't want people to know where I'm coming from. And it was interesting, but see, he took a very dark, quiet approach. But the call went absolutely fantastic. We got a next step out of it. We're cruising down the road. This looks very, very promising, all because of the fact I'd done my homework on the industry and his firm and some of his other partners that were in the firm that I could get insights on.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you just admitted that you couldn't find out information about him. I think that's great. Zelma, I love what you're saying here too. Salesforce talks about the to know everything you can without crossing any lines. It's flattering to people. Mark, we better get to the book and to the lightning round.
There is the book, Selling the Price Increase by Jeb Blunt. Just came out a week ago. If you have not read this book,
So
probably haven't even bought it. And let me tell you something. It is a step-by-step detail. And you say, hey, I don't have a price increase to sell. It's still worth reading because the ideas, the strategies in there, they're gold. They work in so many different ways. Have you had a chance to take a look at it yet?
Oh yeah, I got it. I got it right here. And in fact, I've got 2 copies of it. Jeb sent me one, and then I ordered one, and it came in a day I was going to catch a flight, and already got into it. What I love about Jeb's books is that they're always direct and to the point.
Yes.
And this is just direct and to the point. It's, if you want to understand how to sell a price increase, read this book.
And he tells about it stories from his own company.
Yes.
So that's again what I love about it. It's not fiction. It is fact. Hey, lightning round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Top biggest mistakes. Top biggest. Okay. Well, okay. It's a little bit, we say it twice. Biggest mistakes salespeople make.
Well, let's just keep with the theme of the show. Number one, they don't get prepared. They wing it going into a sales call.
Number two, they fail to take the time to listen because they're too aggressive on what they want to talk about next.
That's good. They don't focus on the right target market. We get so excited about closing the sale. We chase business we don't want.
They are not clear as to who their ICP is, their ideal customer profile, and stay specifically in that lane.
Yeah, I would say that they don't follow up. I mean, that we are looking for an instant gratification sale and we don't follow up.
You stole that one from me. No, it's okay. Hey, because really what they don't have is a clear call to action. They go into a call without a clear next step. They wing it as they get into the call, and it never becomes clear to the customer.
They think they're selling a product, not solving a problem.
They fail to understand the marketplace and how the customer responds to the marketplace. In other words, you got to look downstream to know how the customer is behaving.
Forget to position yourself as an expert, realizing that people are looking for a reason to both say yes to you and a reason to say no.
Hey, I'll share one more, you share one more, and we'll close it down. Failing to go in with a level of competence, not confidence, but competence, that you've done your homework on the industry and how you can be seen as an expert in the industry.
All right, I'm going to list my favorite biggest mistake that I think salespeople make, and that is that they continue to sell the way that they have always sold, not realizing that the marketplace is shifting and their strategies need to shift with it.
Wow. With that, we need to say, hey, thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, hey, we really encourage you to subscribe, rate, and review the show. There's one simple thing we do. Our goal is to help people, because it's our job to help you grow. And when we grow, you grow.
Oh, he's Mark Hunter, and I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
And we're on kind of rush mode here today. And the sale becomes logical.
And uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage. All right. My fault, because I am off to play in my member golf tournament.
Yeah, but it's okay. We had a fire.
Completely my fault. I set things on
we had fire. We had a fire
literally
alarm.
With a fire alarm this week.
That's right.
But we'll see you right back here next week with a new show, new topic. Listen, you guys were an amazing audience today. You obviously have questions, obviously have things you want us to cover. Please feel free to reach out to just saleslogicpodcast.com and right there, and we will take your questions, put your topics. But if nothing else, join us right back here next week for another show, another topic, and another episode of Sales Logic. See you next week.